My name is Irma Brandon, and I am with Wise Choice Real Estate. I am the broker owner, and I am here to speak with you today on how to successfully sell and place a bid on a HUD home. So the first step in selling a HUD home, your brokerage must have a current NAID number. Without this, you are not able to place a bid on HUD-owned properties. So the selling agent must go to www.hudhomestore.gov and you must register under your brokerage in order to place a bid for a client. While you are on hudhomestore.gov, under the NAID application portal, it's on the top left, is where your broker can fill out the application to register for an NAID number if he or she does not have one. If they do have a NAID number already, all you have to do is go to hudhomestore.gov and register under you as a selling agent under your broker's NAID number. Once you're on hudhomestore.gov, you will click on the property that you wish to place a bid on. Then you will click on Submit an Offer, which you'll find at the bottom on HUD Home Store, and it'll say Submit an Offer. You will need to submit your broker's NAID number and your license number. Then you will be able to click on that I'm not a robot and verified the NAID number. Once that robot has verified the NAID number, on the next screen you will have 15 minutes to complete your bid. If the time runs out and you have not completed your bid in the 15-minute mark, then you will have to begin the whole process again. But once you've completed that, on the next screen you'll have 15 minutes, and once you've completed that in the 15-minute mark, you will fill in the purchase price. Then you will fill in the financing type, whether they are doing an FHA or an FHA 203, 203B, conventional, VA, what kind of financing type. You will click on that. And then when you get to line 5, that is for your closing cost. If the buyer is asking for closing cost, you will fill the number in that they are asking for closing cost. It cannot exceed 3% because HUD will not allow more than 3% of closing cost. Then you'll see line 6A is the commission, and there you're going to fill in any selling bonus if the seller, meaning HUD, is offering a bonus to the selling agent. If you fail to fill in the selling bonus once the bid is accepted, you will not receive the selling bonus. So as you're submitting the bid, and if they are offering a selling bonus, you will need to fill that in also with your commission. Line 6B is the listing broker's commission, and that's automatically set at 3%, and that will auto-populate for you. On line 7, you will see the seller's net amount, meaning after line 5 is filled in for closing cost and the 6A for the selling bonus and your commission and the listing broker's commission of 3%, then on line 7 it will automatically fill in on what the net to HUD is. Line 8, you will indicate whether the buyer is an owner-occupant or an investor. Now, if this is still under the exclusive period for owner-occupant, you will not be able to click on investor. It'll only be an owner-occupant bid. After the time frame of the owner-occupant exclusive is up, if no one has been accepted under owner-occupant, then you will be able to fill in whether your buyer is an owner-occupant or an investor. HUD likes to give owner-occupants first dibs on their properties since they are FHA foreclosures. Line 10, you will indicate whether to tell HUD if the bid is not accepted, that if HUD may or may not hold as a backup offer. And you will click on either one of those. If you wish to hold as a backup offer, it's going to be a yes or a no. The next section is the buyer's information. So the first question wants to know if the buyer is affiliated with HUD or its employees in any way. You will answer yes or no here. The selling broker / agent submitting this bid is a buyer or has ownership interest in any way in purchasing this property. This is also a yes or no answer. So you are going to tell them whether the broker, the agent that is submitting the bid for the buyer has an ownership interest or in any way in purchasing the property. You're going to say yes or no. You will fill in the primary buyer's information. So they're going to need their buyer's information. They're going to need their name, their address, their phone number, their email, and their social security number or the EIN number. If they have an EIN number, you will fill that in there versus their social security number. If they don't have an EIN number, then you will have to fill in their social security number. You will then fill in the buyer select closing agent information. And so they are going to ask you for the buyer select closing agent's name, company name, email, phone number. Once you start typing in the buyer select closing agent's company's name, it should auto-populate. It should come up. And if you click on it, it will auto-populate for you. If it does not come up, you will have to fill in all the information that is required in order to put them in as a buyer select closing agent. If that did not auto-populate, chances are they are not HUD registered. The buyer select closing agent must be HUD registered. It can take them several weeks to get registered through HUD as a buyer select closing agent. The other option you will have is that you will ask the buyer to change buyer select closing agents for a closing agent that is HUD registered. So after that, you're going to hit continue. Then you're going to review the information you put in, and you're going to click on submit bid. And that is the steps on how to submit a bid on behalf of a client to place a bid on a HUD home. Now, some disclosures we know that HUD homes are sold as is without warranty or guarantees, and that HUD will make no repairs on any of the properties, and that repairs are not allowed before closing on a property. So once again, HUD homes are sold as is without warranty or guarantees. HUD will not make any repairs, and repairs are not allowed before closing. Buyers are encouraged to have the property inspected by a licensed home inspector to ensure that they are fully aware of the condition of the property. Buyers have 15 days to get all inspections done. Termite and moisture, well and septic, and appraisal, and any other inspections that is needed on the home. They will have 15 days to get all that done. If they do not get that done within the 15-day time period, then HUD is moving on, expecting them to close on the property. So now there's a new thing that HUD has been doing on their contracts, and they have adopted e-signature on their sales contracts. So all HUD Homes sales are now allowing electronic signatures for the contract documents. Yay, there's no more scrambling to get original blue ink signatures within 2 days of acceptance. The buyer selected closing attorney has to be HUD registered. I believe I mentioned that earlier in the slides. The buyer selected closing attorney, they have to be HUD registered. Their earnest money deposit needs to be in the form of a certified check or money order and delivered to the listing agent. Has to be made payable to the buyer select closing agent no later than 2 days after the acceptance of the bid. So now we're going to talk about steps for the selling agent after the bid has been accepted. So the first step is that the selling agent has 2 business days to complete these tasks, commencing the receipt of your bid acceptance from HUDHomestore.gov. Please be aware that if you do not upload all the required documents during this time frame, your bid will be canceled. HUD will move on to the next buyer. They do have a timeline, and they're giving you 2 business days to complete everything that I'm going to go through with you here. And if you do not do that within the 2 days, they will cancel your bid and they will move on to the next available buyer. So the first one is that you're going to please verify your bid information online on the e-signature checklist. This is verifying the purchaser information. You have to go to HUDHomestore.com and you have to click on your accepted bids, and you have to verify, and you click on the checklist where you will verify the bid information. And you will upload here, you will upload a copy of the earnest money. The earnest money must be in the form of a bank check, money order, certified funds, and made payable to the buyer select closing agent. Not the listing agent, not you, but the buyer select closing agent. You will upload that also when you're verifying the checklist. Here you're going to also upload the pre-qualification or the proof of funds. So if your owner-occupant or your investor is paying cash, then you will upload proof of funds from them. If they have a loan, if your owner-occupant is buying the property with a loan, then you will get their mortgage pre-qualification letter. Hopefully you already have that. And you will upload that into the e-signature checklist. The other documents that are needed for upload would be the delivery and the confirmation of receipt of the earnest money deposit from the local listing broker. You have a form that needs to be filled out saying they have the earnest money deposit and that they are accepting it, and here's a receipt. You need that receipt to upload it into the e-signature checklist as well. Step 2, HUD will review the e-signature checklist documents you have uploaded. Once they've reviewed, approved, and the earnest money check has been confirmed, in other words, received by the local listing broker, and HUD has received that receipt that you have done that step, then HUD will put out the e-signature contract via DocuSign. That will be generated and they will put that out for signatures. So now we're on to step 3. Step 3. The selling agent has until the following business day from receipt of the DocuSign envelope to complete the e-signature process. It is the responsibility of the selling agent to ensure that this contract is signed by all parties. So when a sales contract from DocuSign, when it's emailed in this order. It goes to the selling agent first. The sales contract has to be reviewed for complete accuracy. Then once the selling agent has approved the contract is emailed to the selling broker. The sales contract execution can only be signed by the NAID registered selling broker. Then once executed, it is emailed to the purchaser. All purchasers on the accepted bid, they all must have individual unique email addresses to execute the sales contract via DocuSign. They also must have cell phone numbers, also recorded in the e-signature checklist, so that the DocuSign can be sent out. Once all purchasers have signed and executed the contract, then it is emailed to the buyer select closing agent, where the buyer select closing agent must execute the buyer select closing agent's closing addendum included in the sales contract. Once completed, once they've signed that and executed that, the contract is then emailed to the asset manager, which is Rain Companies. Once sales contract is ratified by Rain via DocuSign, will then be distributed by email the executed contract package to all parties. So to everybody who has signed it, the selling agent, the selling broker, the purchaser or purchasers, the buyer select closing agent, and Rain will have a copy. They send out all the copies to all the parties. So step 4, you're going to go to raincompany.com/forms. So you can, for the utility activation request and the buyer select closing agent pre and post closing instructions. So let's talk about utility activation request. Let's talk about the instructions on that. It's the responsibility of the purchaser's agent to have the property prepared for utility activation, meaning de-winterized, which includes coordination of the activities with the utility providers and your inspectors and appraisers. So the purchaser's agent must determine the turn on and off dates, the turn on and off dates by filling out the form on the BLM website. You do not have any utilities activated or services completed until you receive permission to perform these tasks. Utilities may be activated for the maximum of 4 business days. That excludes weekends and all federal holidays. All the fees associated with activating any utility, including but not limited to inspections, deposits, service fees, and/or application fees required by a utility provider, are the responsibility of the buyer. And let me say this again. All the fees associated with activating any utility, including but not limited to the inspections, deposits, the service fees, and/or application fees required by a utility provider, are the responsibility of the buyer. HUD's not going to pay for this. BLM's not going to pay for this, which is the asset management. Rain companies are not going to pay for it. The agent's not going to pay for it. The only one's going to pay for it is the buyers. So the utility activation request in 5P, that's our area, is Virginia, is BLM companies. And their phone number is 877-641-1220. It's also on their website. And if you need any help filling out that form, you're going to email support@blmco.com. So let's talk about the earnest money deposit. So for properties less than $50,000, the earnest money deposit is going to be $500. For properties over $50,000, the earnest money deposit is $1,000. For investor purchases, EMD are non-refundable. Owner-occupant purchases, the EMD is refundable within 15-day inspection period if there's a problem with the inspection. If they find something wrong with the inspection that they will not be able to fix or have the funds to fix, then they can go ahead and ask for the earnest money deposit back and cancel the contract. Under special circumstances, the earnest money deposit is refundable to owner occupants due to loan commitment issues. So if something pops up in their loan and they are not allowed, the lender will not give them the loan, then you will have to ask RAIN to see if they will accept giving the buyer, the owner occupants, their earnest money deposit back. There is a form to fill out for that, so you go to raincompanies.com/forms to grab that form and fill that out and see if they will refund their money. Because as we said earlier, all HUD homes are sold as is, where is, and that repairs are not to be made before closing on the property. So I want you to please keep in mind that in addition to making no repairs on properties, HUD does not activate any utilities. You need to inform the buyers and be ready after acceptance to make arrangements to have utilities turned on for any inspections, appraisals, etc. And by doing this, we said earlier, you will need to fill out the form on blmco.com to fill out that form to get permission to see which utilities may be activated. A link to obtain permission to activate utilities will be provided. I just said it will be blmco.com. Agents ensure that this is filled out and approved by the field service manager before turning anything on, because sometimes they will say you can have the electricity and gas on, but you cannot have the water turned on. Because there could be a problem with the plumbing, that if they turn the water on, it may be spraying all over the place. So you'll have to pay attention, close attention to which utilities they're giving you permission to turn on. Your final thoughts for today are HUD homes are sold as is, where is, and seller will make no repairs. No repairs prior to closing, and never hesitate to reach out to the HUD listing broker to answer any and all questions you may have on selling or placing a bid on a HUD-owned property. Your local listing broker has all the answers, so don't hesitate to reach out to them. Thank you for attending this training presentation. If you have any questions, my name is Irma Brannon. I'm the broker owner of Wise Choice Real Estate. Here's my phone number and my email. So if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you and have a great day.